Hello, Cincinnati. Welcome to a special episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Look, it must have been a really slow news day today because all these guys start messaging me in our chat and going, "Hey, do you guys want to get on a show tonight and talk a little bit?" And I'm like, there must not be much happening in the world of Cincinnati soccer. And then I learned there's a potential signing of a big name that you've heard already at this point, and you've seen him play in Cincinnati before, in the potential signing of Brenner. It's tentative at this point. We've got Tom Bogert reporting. We've got Laurel reporting. It's all tentative. Deals somewhat maybe being finalized. So we've got our fingers crossed that we see Brenner back out on the field shortly for FC Cincinnati. But that's not the only news we're going to talk about tonight. Welcome to this special episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. My name is Brian, walking straight off the high school soccer field to host tonight's episode of CST. Joined here tonight with Jason and Cliff and Josh. How you guys doing? Jason, we'll start with you, man.
Man, I did not expect to be talking about Cincinnati soccer tonight, but it's crazy transfer season, so I'm excited to be here. I even broke out some of the good bourbon to talk some transfer news with you all.
Awesome. Well, glad you could join us tonight, Jason. Cliff, man, it's been a while. How you doing?
Hey, how you? I got my cap. I got a scarf on it. All my FC stuff's in the laundry because we got a game this weekend, so I need options when I go to the game. So I'm sporting the Commodore 64 logo, which does have the FC Cincinnati colors in it. But guys, my night's brought to you by floral.com. This is a beverage, try floral, and because we need to chill out. Well, all this activity, it's insane. I need to relax.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I'm just learning of this stuff. Like, have you guys been excited tonight or what?
Not much is happening.
Not much is happening. Josh, man, welcome back to the show on another Thursday night episode for you.
It's, listen, I show up on Thursdays to bring the energy, but I didn't need to. Things happen on a Thursday that just brings the energy out of everybody. So I figured I had to jump in when I had the opportunity. Thank you for having me. It's my day was mostly spent, it's a weird work schedules of getting Thursdays off. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get some chores done, I'm gonna get some things done. And then as I'm like getting ready to get up going, I see, oh, we have a trade. Oh, things are happening. Oh, well, I guess I'm sitting on the couch for a little bit longer. And then just as I'm about to get ready to go run an errand, oh, more things are happening. Okay, well, my evening just changed. So very excited for all of the things happening. Still a couple hours left for more shenanigans to happen. So why not, Chris Albright? Why not? Just get weird. We've got things to do. So happy to be back.
Awesome. Glad to have you. And I don't know if you guys are ready for this. We have a special guest tonight that we have not announced yet. Are you all ready? Welcome to the stage, tonight's special guest, Jose Guerra. Welcome back, Jose. How you doing?
Special? I don't know about that, but glad to be here.
Man,
I stretched long enough to get Jose in. That's perfect.
Kind of exhausting, all the news that's hit us this week.
It's been crazy, man. How's your night been? I know you've been busy. Your thumbs have been busy on the phone and like texting everybody around in the chat about all the news tonight.
Yeah. I mean, in fact, I also got invited to be on Nacion FCC. Had a really good conversation there as well. I mean, they're also, shocked at the amount of stuff that's going on. And like you guys said, there's still a few hours left. Who knows what else we'll see?
Who knows what's going to happen? Yeah, that's right. Last year at this time, we were talking about all of the last minute moves Cincinnati was trying to make. If you remember the Josh Sargent move, there was, the name of Weston McKinney sprinkled around previously to
the from Tigres.
Yeah. That's right. And then we ended up with Giacchini at the last possible moment. And Chris Albright's coming through again, potentially, tentatively. Let's keep stressing that because at the time of this conversation, the deal is not finalized, but coming through again with a surprise signing this time of Brenner. So we're going to get into that specifically, along with some of the U22, another U22 signing Cincinnati just made, and another signing that was just recently announced, Geedy. So we'll talk about all those players here in just a moment. Let's thank our sponsor, Apollo Home, for letting us do this special episode tonight and all of our Monday night and Jersey Swap episodes. So thank you to Apollo for your sponsorship of the show. Guys, let's I know we're not talking about a game tonight, but we've got this transfer window. We've got a lot of things that have happened in Cincinnati with signings, guys we haven't seen yet on the field. One player we have seen a lot of here recently in Ekanike. Two players we're not going to see any more of in Cincinnati, in Baird and DeAndre Yedlin. And then, we're keeping our fingers crossed for the one that we may see again in Cincinnati, right? So of this entire transfer window, we're going to open this best and worst up to the moves Cincinnati has made in this transfer window. And you know what? I don't know who to pick. I'm just going to let you guys jump in and somebody start us off, and then the rest of us will follow.
I'll go ahead and start just because I was typing and I was like, what would be my best? And so my best is covering all the bases. Chris Albright really did a bang up job of identifying what this roster needed through that first half of the season, and kind of checked all of the boxes. I mean, we talked a lot about midfield depth being an issue on this roster build. Well, boom, he adds Geedy to bring a backup 6 and a backup 8 to fill those spots. You need this team lacked a lot of speed. There was a lot of older players. Well, Ender Echenike, boom, come on down. He's already shown that he's a speed element that this team has severely lacked. You needed some striker depth. Kai Kamara was a bit of a surprise to kind of all of us of like, okay, how is this going to work? But then you send away Baird and, Sergio Santos, of course, been on the shelf like he normally does this time of year, every year. And bang, bang, he adds 2 pieces, tentatively 2 pieces. One, and I gotta stress it, Ayub Jabari is not a tentative. He is signed on loan with an option to buy. Obviously, he's still not here. We're working out those details, but that's a 6'4", 25-year-old striker who's immediately going to come in and be a Kai Kamara replacement. And then obviously with Brenner, we know what he can do. We're going to break him down a little bit more later, but striker depth, midfield depth, speed, youth. You've knocked all of those out of the park in a span of like a month and a half, and it's just an incredible job. Now, leading into my worst, pressures on you center backs now to kind of be all of the defense. Shipping out somebody like DeAndre Yedlin left a lot of people confused and added a lot of question marks about what this makeshift defense is going to look like now. Well, we know that Ender hasn't played right wing back yet for this team, but you would imagine that's going to be a part of his thing. Obviously, Luka has some defensive question marks that he wants to choose to play defense or not. And then Lucas Engel is kind of a catch-all at wing back and at center back. So, but it's really going to fall on the shoulders of the entire center back room to be the linchpins of this defense to carry them through, because these moves have all said, hey, we're tired of scoring. We're tired of winning games 1-0, 2-1, whatever, 1-goal games. We're going to start putting 3, 4, 5 on the board and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah. So now that Josh has taken all the best and worst.
My bad.
Very thorough. Very, very, very thorough. Hey, makes our jobs easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Very thorough. Jose, why don't you jump in there?
Well, I mean, I can't disagree with anything he said. As he said, we have been harping on depth from the beginning of the season. So we're missing depth here, we're missing depth there. What are we going to do? And some of these players are old. And Chris Albright and company, they did it. They have done it. I think we have the necessary depth now to make a really strong run in the playoffs and hopefully now get some silverware. Whether it's the Shield, whether it's the Cup, at this point, I don't care. I just want some silverware. Last year felt like we kind of limped along and got into the playoffs, and, then we got eliminated. So whether it's a Shield, whether it's a Cup or both, man, that would be awesome. Yeah. I think this team now has the potential of that silverware. Now, yes, I I can't say it's the worst, but I'm a little, intrigued as to why at this stage of the season we would let Yedlin go, because that back line has been functioning well. I mean, despite, and you guys know me, despite my saying we're only winning by 1 goal, that back line was performing well. I mean, and it was bending but not breaking. We were all on the edge of our seats every time they were 1 goal ahead and the time was running out. It's, come on, somebody blow the whistle, please. But they managed to maintain the lead and win games. So I think my biggest concern is now chemistry. I think DeAndre and Matt and Miles and Nick and all those guys, they understand each other now. They've been playing now. Even if Matt came in halfway through the season, you could tell they have gelled as a unit. So my biggest concern now is chemistry. If I can even call that worse. But, as we've talked too, okay, if we can score 4 or 5 goals, okay, maybe that's not an issue anymore. But remains to be seen, whether or not that will happen. If we get Brenner and that offense starts to click again with a new element in it.
Well, I'm going to jump in with my best and worst now, because I want to answer Jose's question about why at this point in the season they let DeAndre Yedlin go, right? We're going to miss the guy for sure, right? Good guy, good member of the community, loved having him on the team, performed well, especially here lately, performed well. But Jose, I think FC Cincinnati, my best, is taking notes from the other football team in Cincinnati, and they're going, if we can outscore the opponent, we don't need a defense, right? We're just going to go full on offense. We've got Orashano streaking down the left. We've got Ekanike streaking down the right. We've got tentatively, Brenner up top with Danke, Evander underneath. We got Buka having the season of his career. Like, we are pedal to the metal, man, going full on, which brings me to my worst, is that we don't have to argue anymore with Jose about these 1-goal wins.
Hey, it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. When it starts happening, then you can tell me.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'll eat my words on that one. But man, those were fun conversations. I'm gonna be sad to be missing Jose in the chat about these 1-goal wins. So that's my worst and my best of the night. Cliff?
Yeah, I think my best is how I think these moves balance short-term game and long-term strategy, because you've got Gideon Ekanike as U22 initiatives, so that's a dual-pronged strategy. These players are expected to contribute immediately, obviously during the busy stretch of the season and multiple competitions, but they're long-term contracts, 28 and 29. That shows that FC Cincinnati is building for the future still. My worst is I'm a bit of an empath, so I wonder how Noonan feels. He's been through a season already and been dealt so much adversity, so many things he's had to coach through, and this is like another heaping helping of change that's self-inflicted. I'm a manager on a software team. I oversee 40 people in 3 countries, and I know that when new team members come on, or leads leave, or people who are, say, dominant in the locker room find better offers and move on, there is no such thing as jumping in right away and contributing and everything. Noonan's got to explain the shared philosophy. He's got to impart that once again. But we've seen that happen with Ender Ekanike already. I mean, he came on July 8th and pretty quickly ramped up. I think we benefited from a break in the middle, so we had some time. We don't have that benefit right now. So I just think it's new input. It's stuff to account for. So we'll see if Noonan and team can do that.
Yeah. Jason.
I'm not going to say a best. Everybody covered all my best. I will say that my worst is that while Brenner's great and all, and the depth is great and all, FC Cincinnati had a real opportunity here to go out and get a U.S. men's national team player and ruin their career. And we didn't take it. Could have gone out and got, Gio Reyna, he was looking for a team, something like that. We could have ruined their career, and it was sitting right there in front of us, and we didn't do it. So that's my worst.
We did re-sign Miles, though. So I'm like, where does that fall?
His career was already ruined, remember? Gotcha. Like when he signed with us. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
True.
Okay.
Hey, I want to make just a quick observation, guys. And now, unless you have heard otherwise, because it's possible. I mean, you guys are very well in tune to the soccer world, probably more than I am. But I think it's pronounced Echenique and not Ekenike.
It's Echenique.
Okay.
I believe you.
I've pronounced it.
I mean, it could be that the guy could have said, no, I pronounced it Ekenike. And okay, then maybe I missed that.
Yeah,
that's just me. I'll go with Ender.
Yeah, there you
Ender's
go.
fine. Yeah.
When in doubt, it always
Let's
works.
calling him
Grammar police
half the season anyway.
Grammar police is done.
Evander. Yeah. Hey, we've got, believe it or not, like I'm telling you, people just wanted to chat tonight. They were bored at home, nothing else to do. We've got another CSTer joining us, coming to the stage right now. Justin Blair.
Excellent.
Welcome to the show, man.
What's going on, guys?
We just rolled through our best and worst. I'm not sure if you heard it all. Curious if you got anything to chime in.
My best is that I don't have the rest of the evening just soaking in another abysmal performance by UC's soccer team. They went on the road to Virginia and lost. So that's 2 straight losses to start the season. So that's my best, I guess. My worst is that it's going to be so weird when Brener comes back to town and people
tentatively, supposedly.
Yeah, it's
allegedly,
maybe, kind of, sort of.
It's gonna be interesting because we talked about it at the time. It's what every kid's dream is, right? Have that shot, go play in Europe, have that opportunity. Yeah, he's still going to be on Udinese's team. And what happened, we can get into that. What happened at Udinese, it was a tough break. But it's going to be interesting for the fans here at Cincinnati because we talked about it already this year, right? The not saying goodbye, not saying thank you to the fans, moving on, going to a different team, forcing your way out and stuff like that. Uh-oh.
He did say thank you to the fans.
I'm seeing news, tweets. Josh.
Yeah, sorry, we're breaking. We're doing this live. FC Cincinnati, per Laurel Fair, FC Cincinnati is pursuing a move to acquire Real Salt Lake midfielder winger Dominic Markusic. Not done yet, but in talks.
In addition to,
this was Laurel Fair's breaking news.
Oh my!
Wow.
Okay. Listen,
right, everyone give your take on him right now before you get to YouTube.
Google. Shoot.
Let's go for it.
Everybody spell his name in the chat now.
Yeah, it's just to put a bow on the Brenner thing with the fans. I think it's going to be one of those situations where we welcome him back because anybody wearing our badge is going to be our favorite player. But I personally am just so hyped because I really think that's what. Yes, we were a great supporter shield team. Yes, we were a fantastic team in 2023, but we lost that. Losing Brener was a huge loss.
Yes,
to us personally. I said it. I think it was in the 2024 preseason show. I said, one of our biggest problems was not losing Brandon Vasquez last year or that. We lost Brener, and Brener made that dynamic play into the box that we haven't had since. We haven't had somebody that's comfortable with the ball at his feet, that is one of those guys that's supposed to be going after goals, not Lucho Acosta, right? Lucho was a different player, right? You got to be able to distribute the ball, but I'm most excited about it.
Well, let's not forget Pizzagate, okay? I mean, that still gives me PTSD every time I think about that.
I think I saw that the referee will be in attendance at this next match, so that should be fun.
So my question then, at this point, if I have my timeline correct, is Brener officially, if he signs, is he officially an Albright signing or is he still a Nightcamp signing?
Ooh, good question.
So
we've talked about this team.
If you follow professional wrestling,
okay, I don't.
This is like when CM Punk left WWE.
Yes.
Yes.
under their old person, the guy whose name shall not be named.
That one guy.
But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
he came back under Paul Triple H Levesque.
Yeah.
So it's both.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
Right,
and
sure.
much like CM Punk, which version of Brenner are we getting? You know,
Yeah.
Right. So Mike, Justin, as you were talking about, it's every player's dream, and you ended that with like playing in Europe. I really thought you were going every player's dream to play for FC Cincinnati and get a second chance to come back and improve upon your performance in Cincinnati that everybody already thought was great. Ask Nick Hagland, right? He's been here. He's been injured. He's come back out. That's been his dream to play in front of the fans there at TQL.
Yeah, this would be the first time we've ever had that, right? A return player, other than Kai Kamara,
Alvis Powell.
Alvis Powell.
Alvis Powell.
And-
That's right.
Yeah.
It was about the same level signing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with Powell. Yeah.
same impact.
Yeah,
goals
absolutely.
are about the same.
So a little bit on Dominic Markusic. I'm not going to even try to pronounce the previous team.
Markchuk.
He's Polish, so love you, Poland, but I'm not going to pronounce those names. He's both-footed. He primarily plays on the right, both right wing back and a right wing, and he's 21, so he'd be a U22 signing.
Mhm.
Brenner, from my understanding, still has his green card, so he won't take up an international slot. So this might be that move where we saw FC Cincinnati get another international slot, I think, earlier this week. So this might be the international slot move.
That's a good shout there. That's a good call. So there have been a couple deals. Like we've danced around it a little bit. Brenner is a tentative signing that there's a few hours left here to get that deal done. To my knowledge, they're still working on finalizing that. So we are, eagerly anticipating final news of that signing.
Yeah.
DeAndre Yedlin was one that we mentioned earlier, was traded to RSL for just over $300,000 in GAM. Midfielder Samuel Guidi was signed to a U22 deal. That's been confirmed, waiting on his visa. And so our reports of Guidi is he will be that, at 6'8", a guy that can come in the midfield to be a depth piece. He's a young player, U22 initiative. So we get some young legs out there, even as a depth piece playing behind Obi as he returns potentially. And Anunga, when his legs get tired late in the game, we got a young guy that can come in, fill that spot. He's been knocking it out of the park though, when he's been out there. We've got striker Ayub Jabari, and then Ender Echenike, as we mentioned before, and Corey Baird was traded to San Diego earlier. And as we mentioned briefly, Miles Robinson was re-signed. That is a lot of moves in a summer transfer window. Albright wants some silverware, I think, and he wants it now. We're in a win now situation, but I think, Cliff, as you spoke earlier, it's a both and. We've got guys that are here to win now, but we've got this U22s. If we hit on these guys, could be here for a little bit of time.
And it's a smattering of youth, but it's also, Jabari's 6'4". I think we've learned that when you've got guys that can bring the ball down when Roman kicks it, we benefit. Yeah. Kai Kamara is a good example of that. Kevin Denke is kind of a pit bull there and can really work the ball. And that was a problem with Kelsey, is that he really wasn't the guy that was going to bring the ball down. He would body his man, but there was no, ability to receive that long ball from Roman when he wasn't kicking it out of bounds. So I think there's a lot of strategy. There's a lot of research that went into these players.
So Cliff, you're saying that Roman's pass percentage completion is going to go up now again?
I think so. I've often said to people in the stands as I've sat there, especially when we lost Brenner and we didn't have men up front. Yeah. I think part of the idea was to kick it out of bounds because it was the most likely thing we could do to get the ball back in midfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not wrong in saying Kai Kamara was signed before the summer transfer window, right? So his signing doesn't fit in here, but
that was April.
I think it was May. Let me see, May 12th was a signing. So it was earlier than the summer transfer, but it was a move that we made that I thought was going to be the move before the summer transfer window. Like that was going to be maybe all we see, and then we've got these other 6-7 other moves that have come on. We talk about depth in the midfield. We talk about maybe guys out on the wings. That's been, a sticking point that we've talked about all season on this podcast is guys that can streak down the wing. They can get up top. They can send balls across. I know we haven't seen these guys play yet other than Echenike. Get a little bit of time, but not as right wing back. Are we hopeful that we got the guys that can streak down the sides, get balls into, a new 6'4" striker, a Kevin Denke, or are we just pushing down the center of the field and we've got the strength now with Brenner, some additional midfield, Evander, Denke, and we're just going full throttle down the middle?
Well, I guess my question is, has Noonan not played through the wings because he didn't have the talent, or is that just his strategy that he wants to play through the middle?
I don't know. Jason, you want to speak to that?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think it's partly because we haven't had the talent. Because of the Brenner rumor today, I went back and was watching a lot of old highlights from when he and Brandon Vasquez were here. And if you watch those highlights, a lot of his goals were coming off of Barreal streaking down the sideline and then cutting it back in.
Overload on the left.
Yes, and we haven't had that since Barreal left, to be honest.
Yeah, we haven't.
Orishano, I think, is capable of it, but he hasn't really done it that often. And Evander is a different kind of player than Lucho. Mm-hmm. And then this year, as much as it pains me to say so, if you look at what is it called? MLS analytics on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
Every time you look at FC Cincinnati's heat maps, everything was taken away from that right side when it went to DeAndre Edlin. Love the guy, played great defense, was not a very good distributor into the box.
Sure.
So hopefully, my thought is, if we have Ender, we've seen that he is very, very fast. He's made a lot of good runs so far. If we get this new guy from RSL lockdown, now we kind of have balance on the right with Ender and the new guy. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, Marchuk, I think. And then you've got Engel and Luca on the other side. So now you have that ability to try and get up and down the sidelines, where it used to just be one side and really one guy.
Yeah. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like Noonan has tried to play down the wings. Like that's the hope, but we have not had, again, Yedlin gets up at times, distributes the ball at times, but usually gets it, turns it, and plays it back to a center back or plays it back to Buka, who's, playing a little bit off his left shoulder there on the right side. So we haven't had the guys that really seem to want to do it, except for Orishano, who always wants to do it, regardless of the side that he's on. And maybe it's a matter of, I don't know. I think we've tried it, but it hasn't worked, right? And so it's been shut off. You talked about the heat map. The right side's been shut off. It's effectively, that's what's happened. If you look at it, it's down the middle or it's down the left channel when Engel is pushing forward or when Orishano's healthy. Man, I think if we get somebody on the right side, Cliff, I'll let you speak to this. If we get someone here on the right side and we get some balls sent in, I think that opens up so much more offense, not just like 50%. We've got 50% coming from the left, 50% coming from the right. Now you've got center backs on the other team watching, checking both shoulders. It's going to open up the middle of the field, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember. It feels like too many weapons, and that takes me back to the 49ers of the 80s. Sorry, I'm dating myself. But when Ender was originally reported through, I think, a Failer article, there was a paragraph in there that's sticking with me, and then they talked about Ender being a right wing back or playing as a right wing back. That's a question up in the air for me, as to whether that's going to happen. I think we've tried Orishano over there as well. Orishano, I think, is doomed to be the left wing back because it just seems to work when that happens. I don't know, how that's going to work. But to me, with the jets that Ender has, that seems like a logical choice to put him there so he can advance the ball and get it through the mids.
And I would love to see. I mean, there was so much conversation before everything happened with when Yedlin got traded about, okay, well, what do we do at right wing back? And you have to have a replacement. You have to have a plan, right? Well, I was coming around to the idea that, well, Ender Echenike, why can't he play the right wing back when you're bombing balls down to a Kai Kamara who can bring it down, who both Kai and Kevin Denke have proven they are excellent hold-up players. Isn't that exactly who you want? Bombing down the wing? You can play a ball to a striker up top who can either lay off to a streaking Ender Echenike who nobody's catching up with, or you can play a second, play a ball to Buka, Evander, whoever, who can then make the over-the-top run. Like, so my brain was like, yes, you're going to lose a lot of defense, but I'm okay with the idea that when you have that kind of speed element, we see that all the time. Like, we haven't seen that element here in a long time. Obviously, when Sergio Santos was first acquired, that was the strategy, right? That was the idea. He's the guy that can stretch the field vertically, and that way it opens up that space. If you have a guy like Ender Echenike who can stretch the field vertically on that right side, or even if he cuts in or whatever, but you can play off of that hold up play to play to a streaking guy. That's money in the bank, and like I said in my worst, like, yeah, that's asking a lot of pressure on your defensive midfielders and your center backs, but that's why you're paying them all the money. That's why you invested so much money in your center back room, because you want to be able to just throw all those guys out there and be like, cool, the defense is yours. We'll trust you to give up. Maybe you give up one, and then you have Roman Celentano playing the best, his best ball right now of his career. So it's like, I really like him and really enticed by the idea that Ender can be that right back all the time. Maybe not all the time. Maybe it's a rotation thing, but as a wrinkle, as an element, when you're trying to bomb the ball forward, like, that is such a critical weapon that I would love to see.
You just said a magic word for me, rotation. And I feel like whenever we have these discussions about players, it's like we're playing a video game and their health returns to 100% green. And that is just not that was a good Commodore 64 reference. But I would say
it still applies, Cliff.
It does.
It still applies today.
It's a disease. But that's the thing, is that I think about Denke. Is he really 100%? I think about Kai Kamara. Is there enough left in the tank for the 40-year-old? Orellano is a question mark. Every time Hagelin steps on the field, I just think of his collapsed lung, and I go, come on. So I wonder how much of the moves and strategy were affected or influenced by the curse that seems to hang over this town with respect to players and injury. Brenner was one of those. I mean, we almost destroyed his career on the way out.
That's right. Yeah, he got hurt. Yeah. Although, but on the other hand, as you're talking about, these bombing, into the box with all these wingers and the talent and whatnot. And I'm going to date myself here, guys, big time. I saw the 1970 Brazilian World Cup team. I mean, they were a magnificent. They were just a sight to see. I'm
going to take your word for that, Jose.
They were so busy scoring that they didn't worry about their defense was not that good. I mean, their center backs were actually quite bad. Their goalie had great reflexes, but he was always out of position. But they didn't care, because the teams were busy swatting away their wing backs, their midfielders, their forwards. I mean, they would just swarm and overwhelm the other team. So if we can get to that position, then heck yeah, okay, fine. Then I won't worry too much about Yedlin. But as Cliff says,
can I jump in there real quick?
Depth to make sure that we don't have any injuries and say, oh, here we go again. It's that curse, as he says.
I want to jump in, Justin, before you do. I think it reminds me when I was in high school, our high school team would get together and we'd, throw an indoor team together, and we'd get up 3 or 4 goals, and then we would quit playing defense. Like, literally, we would stay on the offensive side of midfield and just let the team go at our keeper. Thankfully, it wasn't me at the time. We had another keeper that was going, and we just let him pound at him, and he was so mad, yelling at us, screaming at us, like, ton of fun. That's what this feels like at times. But I joke about that and us not having defense, but you said it, Josh. I think it was you talked about the money we spent on our center back room, right? We still have a solid defense. It's not like we're leaving not Orellano, Celentano back there by himself, with no defenders. We've got some great center backs back there that now we've got the play to go forward that we've all, talked about this year being a struggle. Justin?
Yeah, I was going to go a little bit closer to recent times. So I don't know, maybe a month ago when we were playing this team up north called Columbus Crew that commit themselves totally to the offense. They play with 9 filled players that are committed to the attack.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of game that's being played. I think maybe Pat Noonan and company, because that is the mark. I mean, if you look at the current MLS landscape and tell me what teams scare you out there before you even make a move like Brenner and stuff like that, I would say Columbus is probably one of, if not the top dog on teams that scare you in a playoff format.
In a playoff,
they're obviously not built for a supporter shield. It's not sustainable play of action. You are going to get matches where you have to rotate players, and they're not as effective as the 2 center backs that play wing backs for the Columbus Crew. But yeah, I think that's the chess match move, right? He's looking at a situation where, yes, our defense is substantially better. Somebody's probably going to throw stats at me, but just looking at the match, I will tell you that our back 3 versus their back 3 in the defensive set are vastly better.
No question.
It feels like a drill you do, like in training, an overload drill. Like once the ball crosses half line, you've got 7-on-3 on this side, and then 7-on-3 on the other side is what it's going to feel like when we play Columbus, as everybody's throwing everybody forward in the attack.
Now the question is comfortability, right? You got the talent, you got the pieces there. Now, are people comfortable making those plays, making that situation, right? Because overloads are great, but if you can't switch the play across the field, you're cooked. And you're going to keep passing the ball back to your center backs to try to switch field. That's going to be a death note for a team that's committing themselves this much to attack. Presumably, if we do move Ender over and bring on Luca Orishano at that left wing back position.
Yeah. Names we haven't mentioned, Jason, I'll throw it to you on this one. Kubo is not a move that we've made anything on. Like, I'm not throwing him out there because of the transfer window, but a guy that is back with the team is reported training with the team, should be back out, should be available here soon. So you talk about depth pieces. That's a name that we haven't talked about in over a month because of an injury. We've got Obi that had surgery early in July, I believe. And so it's expected to return before the playoffs. I don't know at what percentage of health that he'll be back. So we've talked about these new guys and the depth they bring, but we've got some reliable players that are returning to health as we round out the season. Jason, where do you see them fitting into all these moves that Cincinnati's made here recently?
One of the things about Pat Noonan is he loves to play the veterans over the youth sometimes. Something that I admittedly have been a little bit critical of at time to time. And lately he's had to play the youth because some of that depth wasn't there. But it's a good problem to have. I mean, now you've got Yu Kubo, who is a Swiss Army knife. I mean, the guy, I think the only position he's not played is goalkeeper for this team at this point.
Center back, I think he hasn't played center back.
He may not have played
center back. I could be wrong.
He did get minutes at center back last year.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he's like played practically everywhere.
10 minutes, but it was minutes at center back.
Wow.
So I think him coming back is going to be huge as we move forward in the season, because we've got 7 games left, but it is a sprint to the playoffs. Like you said, we're still missing Obi. Luca did pick up a knock and didn't play last week, and I don't think he was in training today, so he may not be in the game on Saturday. Like, there's those kind of things are going to happen, and if you can have a guy that you trust, like Yu Kubo, can come in and give you 10, 15 minutes, that's going to be huge. And he's a scoring threat, too. We've seen him score, which is not something a lot of our bench guys do. So I'm excited to have him back. I'm excited that Brian Anunga's coming back from red card suspension. And, I think with the moves that we made with GD, I think is his name, coming in midfield. And if you heard the postcast interviewing the scout from Slovakia or wherever it was he was playing, really talk the guy up. So I think last year we were in desperation mode heading into the playoffs and just had to get center backs to fill a bunch of positions or fill those positions and whiffed on a striker. It seems like this year we've made a lot of nice little moves here in this transfer window that is kind of building up that base to kind of push us into the playoffs and give us a little bit of stamina as we move forward.
Justin, I'm going to just lob a softball here to you. And I'm going to ask you, what does this mean for Dado Valenzuela? He's measuring his words because he's been banned. Look at this. Look at this.
I've been banned. No, I think for Dado, I don't know how the roster compliancy works because he was signed. I don't know if it really makes sense to move him like midway through the season or anything like that. Dado is still, in my opinion, one step behind what it takes to be a day in, day out starter in MLS. And I know people are going to disagree, freak out about that comment, but he has not shown enough consistency.
Yeah.
That's the key. Consistency to be a player that's going to be fighting for minutes on this roster. If we bring in Brener, let me say that, okay? Because you already have Kevin Dinke. You already know you have a flex player like Luca Orishano that can play multiple positions. And Pat, obviously, last year showed propensity to put people in unique situations to try to attack different defenses. But Dado Valenzuela, I think he is on the roster. And right now, I think he's starting to float back to that 10. And I think he's a lot less valuable as a 10 for this team, in my opinion. I don't think he has the skill set yet to be a player that can play with his eyes up at this pace and this competition level.
Yeah. So let me throw another question out. Josh, I'll get you involved on this one. So Dado Valenzuela, right, is a guy who I think gets pushed back to, bench status, coming off the bench if he's playing, right? I would disagree, and I would say I think he does have what it takes to be a day in, day out starter in MLS, but maybe not on this roster at this point. I think that's something to be aware of. Now, let's play this out. If Brenner comes in, if this deal gets done, he comes in on loan with an option to buy. Does Dado Valenzuela, Josh, is he a guy that can learn from a guy like Brenner? You've talked about, or Justin's talked about not having a guy that's been able to play in the box with his feet like Brenner has. Valenzuela has shown signs of that. I'm not saying he's on the same level, but he's shown signs of being able to move defenders, shake defenders inside the 18. Is this a move that, whether Brenner stays or not, Dado can sit behind him, learn from a veteran player that's played overseas, learn from a guy that's played here in Cincinnati, and be able to step in if and when Brenner does step away?
Absolutely. I think Dado, obviously Dado, they're all athletes. You never know what's going to go through their mentals when change up like this happens. But I think if you're Dado Valenzuela, who's also, remind you, 20 years old still, like, it's weird to think of how young Dado still actually is. It's like him and Steven Jimenez. Like, Steven Jimenez is still 18 years old, but he's been with FC Cincinnati for like 20 years. It's the weirdest thing ever. But Dado's been around, and Dado's finally getting minutes, getting comfortable in the league, and to your point, Justin, like, he's still showing like he has things that he needs to do. I think I'll play, and I'll go back to when we talked about when Kevin Denke was signed. The running joke that I always have is every goal that Kevin Denke scores, add $5 million to his transfer, add $5 million. And as Cliff has said tonight, like, this is a good window because you're not only playing for now, but you're setting up for the future. There is a very real soon future where Kevin Denke is not playing for FC Cincinnati anymore because he's sold for $35-40 million somewhere because he's showcasing everything that everyone thought he might. So
not just on the field, not just on the field.
Correct.
In the locker room, in the training facility, out in the community.
He has been everything plus more that you would expect from a guy of his pedigree, and has been 10 times the worth the penny that they paid for him. So
That's a great point.
when
we could have attrition by success.
When he eventually plays his way out of MLS and out of FC Cincinnati, Dado Valenzuela is perfectly there, set up, ready to go, training behind these elite players. You know, say what you want about Brenner. He had how he exited. He blew this league up and earned a double-digit multi-million-dollar transfer to a top division league. So if you're Dado Valenzuela, you have to look at this opportunity of saying, like, great, I need to study the way that Brenner plays. I need to study the way that Kevin Denke plays. I need to be a sponge and soak up as much of their traits and habits and tendencies and everything possible, because he's the future. He's one of the futures of this team. I think Pat Noonan, of all people, as we have seen, who doesn't trust playing kids as much as he doesn't want to do it. Dado Valenzuela has played his way into getting quality minutes this season, and he's going to play quality minutes this season still. There's still 7 games left. There's still the playoffs. He will still show up, and he will be asked to play a critical role in that. And so, yeah, I think that Dado how he handles this is going to say a lot about him and his development as a professional.
It is a good situation for him. I mean, he's 20.
He's 20 years old. He can eat this up and really evolve his career.
Great.
And that's a great point. I mean, because I was thinking about it. Is he going to have the maturity to say, okay, fine, you got Brenner, you got Denke, I'm going to learn from these guys. And if he has that attitude, not only will he learn and be a better player, but I think mentally he will mature if he takes that attitude. And I don't want to get into his mind because, I'm not going to psychoanalyze anybody, but those are key points you just made.
But Cliff, let me throw this at you. Like, he could be a guy that's sitting behind these elite strikers and learning and playing, or if Justin had his way, he could go to USL Championship and be on the team or player of the match day like Kimi Ordonez this last week. How do you feel about that?
You can see it, I think, in Dado's creativity and the way he's matured, his progress. You don't want that to stop. And I don't think for him, I don't want to speak for him either, but I think for him, this is just another upward thing. He's played with Lucho, he's played with Denke, he's played with now Kamara, and he's played with a whole host of people. And now he's going to get more variety of experience and connection. If ever we were developing someone to be able to adapt, this is the guy. And I think, out of the, 5, 6, 7 games we have left, I can tell you right now, he's starting October 18th. That's the final game of the season against Montreal. So I'm pretty sure he'll be there. If you go on, we can take bets right now on that one. I don't think he's going to be without opportunity.
Yeah. Imagine, let's go. This is a stretch here, maybe like novel, like fiction, right? A superhero that can absorb the superpowers of other people around him. Like, Rogue. I feel like, what's that?
Rogue.
Yeah. Like, I feel like that's what you just described as Dado Valenzuela. If he could take the best or even a little bit of the best of each of the players that he's played with in Cincinnati, he could be something really special. And I think he still will be. But he's had to adapt to players like Lucho. He's had to adapt to players like Evander. He's had to adapt to players like Orishano. And now he's going to, and Denke, and now potentially Brenner even. So I think he's a player that continues to develop. I'd hate to see him go. But if Cincinnati continues to build this roster, who knows what's going to happen there in the midfield. Let's transition a little bit here.
Can I finish that a little bit on Dado?
Nope. Let's keep going. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Jeff.
I just want to say that Dado Valenzuela has 2 things working against him that he can't control. Okay,
Justin Blair's one
is mass, right? Just his body type as a 20-year-old is going to be vastly different in 4 years, right? Being able to shoulder some of those contact plays, not having to grow to the ground all the time. And the other thing is the chaos that has been FC Cincinnati's lineup for 2 seasons now. Right. So there has been zero consistency with the lineups, it's hard to expect a consistent play for Dado Valenzuela. So
Right.
that's to be fair to the kid. That's what I wanted to close on that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's fair. Let's move on to, let's talk about Brenner a little bit more here, right? Because that's what everybody I think is tuning in for. That's the big news that broke. Josh, nothing new has happened yet with Brenner. Nothing's breaking yet. I know you've been watching social media here. Nothing.
Correct. Now, nothing official. Still just the initial reports from Tom and Laurel, where it is a loan with an option to buy for the rest of the loan for the rest of the season with an option to buy in the winter. Bogert reporting that he would hit the club as a TAM signing for 2025, which by my connecting dots would suggest that if they were to pick up his option, he would probably be a DP next season if they were to go that route. But at least they're sticking for 2025. He's going to be a TAM signing for the rest of until December.
So let's say he comes in. He's not playing this weekend, I don't believe. Who knows though? Over under number of goals for Brenner this season, 4.5. What are you going, over or under?
I'm
7 games.
I go over. You said
I'm
7
going to go
games
under
left?
based on recent form. I love Brenner, but he hasn't really been. He's still good, I think, but he hasn't really been scoring a lot at Udinese. So I would go under, but that's still very helpful.
Yeah, I look at Serie A with a great bias. So let me preface that, right? Serie A is a defensive league.
Yes, it is.
The Italian soccer has always been defensive predicated. So I am going to go over on the simple fact that the MLS just does not invest. And I mean, we have Orlando City coming up. We have teams that are going to play defensive ball, but I'm going to bet for what I saw, somebody scored like 3 hat tricks in 2022. Yeah, I'm going with Brener.
So let's clarify here. Are we talking these last 7 games? Or are we talking including a run into the playoffs?
If we go to the playoffs, yeah, I'm locking that in. Positive 4. But no, I'm going regular season. 7. Okay. Well, let me hedge my bet here. I'm going to take the playoffs because I suspect he's going to take 2 matches to integrate. So he did the whole preseason thing. So it's not like, a May window or whatever, or January window where it's just kind of a weird in between. Yeah. He obviously did work out with Udinese. He's match ready. It's just the comfortability of the team introducing him and that familiarity. So I'm going to hedge my bet because I think that's only 5 games for him.
All right. We'll keep going clockwise on my screen there. So Josh, what are you going? Over, under 4.5?
I will say under for regular season, over for playoffs. So in totality, I'll say over just because at this point, I'm expecting a playoff run. He's gone through a preseason. He's been in training and everything, so he should be able, in theory, to jump right in. But he hasn't played matches at all this season. He's, he played a little bit last year. Obviously, he's dealt with injuries since he's been at Udinese. So I fear there is some rust time. To Justin's point, it's going to take some time to integrate. So I don't think he hits the ground running like people might expect him to. But it'll happen before he'll be starting games for this team before October. So I'll say in totality over then.
Okay. All right. Cliff?
I'm under for regular season. I think we're playing New York, Philly, and Nashville up through mid-September. And then we get, to Josh's point, Orlando, which I think will be his first start. Brenner is a fox in the box threat. He's not going to hit him from a distance. He's not hitting him outside the 18. We have that with Denke, so he's going to have to, sort of share the load. I don't see Evander stopping in terms of his scoring, and he is outside the box. He is somebody that will target and threat. I still don't understand how the ball comes off his foot so powerfully. Denke obviously back in, but again, like I said before, where's his health meter? So I think it's under for the regular season, and probably he'll hit 4 or 5 if we get into the later rounds.
Yeah. Okay. Good shout there, Jose. What are you going over under 4.5 goals?
Same thing. I think it's under in the rest of the season because it's going to take him some time to get back. Yes, he's played with us. He knows the team, knows the coach, but things have evolved since he left. So it's going to take him a little while to fit in. But in the playoffs, I think that's where we're going to see him.
I feel like I can sleep easy tonight, knowing that I agree with the guru.
I mean, the thing about this is that obviously they're not going to put him on the bench. I mean, long term, meaning the rest of the season.
No.
You're bringing this guy in; he's going to be a starter. Maybe not the first 2, maybe not in the first 3 games, but he will start at some point, and that's when I think we will take him off if he is in match condition and he acclimates well to the new system that Pat has put in since he left.
I guess I'm the last one to weigh in here, and everybody's gone under for the season, over for the playoffs. I'm just going to be the one that says we're going over. Like, he's going to challenge Messi for the best number of goals for the rest of the season, not total season, but from now till the end of the season. He's coming in. He's got a brace in his first match. He's going to start us off strong. He and Evander are going to click. They're both the Brazilian connection is going to be something special to watch. And I think I'm going over. I think 5 goals by the end of regular season for Brenner. Now, if I'm wrong, who cares? I'm optimistic, right? That's where we're going. All right, guys. We're rounding out the hour here. It's getting a little late here. 10:30. We still got 40 people watching live. That's fantastic. Cool. Thank you for joining us live
and
tonight.
More importantly, 2.5 hours left of the summer or the window left. So this all might be irrelevant by the time we're done here.
Are you saying this is a live show for the next 2.5 hours?
I'm not going anywhere. I can hang out.
Let's do it.
I'll hang out. My wife would divorce me.
Hey, Brian, I do have a question. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask a question.
Throw it out.
It's a big one, and I wonder. So Albright's made, not before tonight, 13 moves. 10 players in, if you count Nick Hagland's re-signing, and 3 out. Baird, Acosta, and we loaned out another Argentinian to Santos. Santos just got shellacked 6-0. I'm wondering, why didn't we bring him back? That would, for me, be like the February 24th, 1987 return of Optimus Prime. There would be tears in my eyes.
Josh, I saw your hand first. Go.
Yeah, boy, does that person not want to be with this team anymore.
Probably.
That is somebody who very documentedly sold literally all of their belongings that they possibly had here before leaving, while on loan, mind you. Like, it's not like he's still employed by the team. He still, in theory, is now 2 years on loan and will not be coming back. Some fences are too burned to rebuild, and I think Alvaro Barrial's bridge is not even smoldering anymore. That thing is burnt down. It's collapsed. They've covered it. They've boom. It is. I do love the theory.
Acosta?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Acosta's bridge is rubble, and Barrial's bridge is underwater.
Yeah.
Love the guy. The fans would have him back.
Oh,
absolutely.
I was joking today on the Slack. I was like, let's recall him because we were all freaking out about Yedlin, but no, he doesn't want to be here, and you can't make a guy go where he doesn't want to go.
Yeah. So my favorite thing, I want to get to our last thought. My favorite thing of the entire day today was watching everybody in our chat, right? What's happening? Yedlin's gone. We have no plan. And it got quiet for 30 minutes. and then suddenly it blew up. Okay, we've got a plan. We don't need a right wing back. We've got Brenner. Like it was such a, it went downhill. It hit the bottom. The valley was at the lowest, and then suddenly we were at the top of the mountain again. It was a ton of fun. For our final thoughts, guys, as we wrap up the show. Does Cincinnati, I know this is a strange question because we're sitting there in the, tied for the lead in the Supporters Shield right now. Does Cincinnati, is Cincinnati a lock now for the Shield? Or I know there's still games to play, but are we like, how much more optimistic are you now that Cincinnati brings home the Shield at the end of the season than you were maybe 4 hours ago?
I'll jump in first.
Consistency is my thing. If, and that's a big if with this team still. Yes, we're in first place. Yes, we've been winning games. And hey, you can't argue with that. The numbers don't lie. But if we are consistent down the stretch, then yes, there's a good problem. I'm not going to say it's a lock. I don't think it's a lock because we have some really tough games coming up. And if this team can be consistent in its play, I don't care if they win by half a goal. I know that's a stupid comment.
We've consistently won by 1 goal, Jose. All season. So like 37-10 and 1 goal game. Cincinnati has won.
As long as the team plays, because as long as we don't, lay an egg on Saturday, then yes, I think there's a good possibility of some kind of silverware. But I'm not going to say it's a lock.
All right, Jason. How much more optimistic are you on a scale of 1 to 10? How much more optimistic are you now than you were 4 hours ago?
Here's my hot take, and I know you all aren't going to like this. Even though I am a Shield truther, in the new era of the MLS Cup playoffs, since they moved to this stupid format that we have with the best of 3, no number 1 seed has made it to the MLS Cup final. So, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't want us to finish 4th. I don't care if we win the Shield. So I think we can. I'm optimistic that we could. I know that 2 sample sizes is not a good trend line, but I'd rather win the MLS Cup at this point.
Oh, yeah, no question. Yes.
We've got a Shield. I got to hold it over at Greenworks. It was really cool and really heavy.
Yep, it's the same. Yeah.
I don't care.
Cliff, if you were in the room right now with Jason, would you punch him in the face or would you be on his side?
Oh, not at all. I like any hardware. I think we pursue it all. I think it's a disservice to the moves that we've made and the signs we've printed that are sitting in lawns all over Cincinnati that say all in, and I have to answer what does that mean 4 times a day in my neighborhood. But I think the pedal's down on the floor. I think we could do it all. The thing that I am remembering is another legend from the 70s. Jose might remember the coach from the Alabama Crimson Tide who said, offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. So that jury is still out for me. You can put all the tools on the table offensively, but I still maintain that just because I'm from the 70s and I've not seen a team win a championship that didn't have a good defense.
Okay, fair enough. Josh, 4 hours ago, when we knew, or 5 hours ago, it was all we knew, DeAndre Yedlin was gone. We've got a hole on the right side, and now the potential alleged signing of Brener. How you feeling about the Shield?
Jason, scoot on left on that train because I don't care about winning the Shield. I haven't most of this season. Now here's the thing. I don't have expectations of them to win the Shield, and I will openly say that if they don't win the Shield, you better win MLS Cup. Like that, that's so where my shift has not gone from like, do I think they can win the Shield more or less? Like my mindset shift has changed from okay, well, if you don't win the Shield and then you get bounced, like, all right, we need to have some heart. Like, we maybe need to think about conversations and roster.
Right.
It has completely shifted to you don't win the Shield, that's fine. You better go win MLS Cup then, because this roster, the way that this team is built, the money that has been spent on this project, this is trophy or not, like trophy or nothing. Like if Pat Noonan doesn't get it done now, I will be fully on board with having the really hard questions about thinking, is Pat Noonan the one to lead this team? Because you definitely you cannot blame ownership. You cannot blame Chris Albright. They have spent the money. They have given you pieces. They have gotten creative. They've given you depth. They've done everything that you could possibly ask for in a way that a roster is constructed. Now you better go get results. Now you better go add to that trophy case this year, because you had the questions about Leagues Cup, whether it was whatever, whether you cared about it or not. It's Shield, a MLS Cup, or both. If you come away with nothing, the Wolves are yours, because I'm not going to defend you anymore.
And you've got 7 games to do it. Like, that's my only pushback on that is we've given you everything and we've given you 7 games to work with, right? So it's a challenge. I am fully. Justin, did you get a chance? No, go ahead, Josh.
That's why I'm like. That's why that's why I'm giving a pass on the Shield, because it is 7 games. You're asking them to do a lot, and now they've maintained it. That's why I think it's possible. But 7 games to get all these new pieces integrated and everything, when half of them aren't even here yet. Like Brenner's not here, GD's not here, Jabari's not here. Like, these pieces aren't there. Are they going to contribute that much down the stretch? Who's to say? So I'm okay giving you a pass on that, but by October, when all of those pieces are conceivably here, or even mid-September, when you've got 4 games left, whatever, that you better hit the ground running then, because you're going to enter the playoffs, and you better be firing on all cylinders by that first game of the playoffs, because, again, everything else is on you, Pat Noonan.
Yeah.
There's one more factor there, too, that we haven't talked about, and that's the other teams, because we've had so much news with FC Cincinnati. Vancouver's done a little work as well, and they're in position. LAFC, and so I think that's the opponent. Is interesting. We've got some big names coming into the league now. I think what I'm thinking about is those MLS playoffs later in the round, when we see those new additions to the MLS come in. I mean, I cannot wait, and I'm so happy to be a season ticket holder and get first shot.
You mean like Miami having 11 DPs or something like that?
Well, that's the other thing. Then you've got the juggernaut. I don't even refer to Miami as like a team. They're like a systemic juggernaut that just kind of exists and has the potential.
I thought you were going to say a systemic rule breaker, but okay,
that too.
Yeah.
Justin, did you get a chance to answer that one?
I did not. No.
All right, go for it. How are you feeling about the Shield?
I don't think it changes how I feel about the Shield. I think everyone hit the notes on that. I value the Shield more than anything, and I know that's a terrible take, but I watch soccer from February to October. I would prefer to have a consistently good team all year long than to sneak into the playoffs and win it, right? But no, I don't think it changes the calculus on us winning the Supporter Shield at all. But it does change the calculus on winning the MLS Cup. I think a move like Brener and the other pieces that have already been announced and stuff like that, I think I looked and I took a step back and I said, okay, who are we actually competing with for a cup this year? It's Seattle. It's Columbus Crew, it's Philadelphia, it's San Diego to a T, and it's LAFC, right? One of those teams is going to meet us in the ring at one point, right, in this playoff, and that's going to be the deciding line. I think this changes that calculus. I think that makes FC Cincinnati 1 or 2 in the MLS with that talent being brought in. I think with the system that they already have, enduring all the injuries that they have, having a player like Brener, having a player like Ender come onto the team and put that explosiveness, that quick scoring ability, that quick threat to the game, I think it put FC Cincinnati over the top on teams in the playoffs.
Yeah. I'll say this. I go back to my preseason predictions, and I've done this a couple times this season on the show. I didn't think Cincinnati would even be this close to the Shield at this point. I thought a third place finish, if we're hanging out third or fourth place right now at this point in the season, I'm pretty satisfied as a fan, right? With the moves we made, we were hopeful about Kevin Denke. We hadn't seen him play yet. We were hopeful about Evander. We hadn't seen him play yet. I didn't think Cincinnati was going to start fast enough to be in the Shield race even at this point in the season. And currently with 7 games left, I know Miami's got a couple in hand yet. But we're sitting there at the top of the Shield race. I think with the pieces Cincinnati brings in, unless there's massive, chemistry issues and we just can't get the ball through because guys aren't communicating and they're expecting, Brenner to make this run and Echenique makes this other run and Evander just, is firing from 45 yards out because no one is making the right run. Like, unless there's massive chemistry issues, I think Cincinnati has a real shot at finishing at the Shield, and I think Noonan goes for it. I think Cincinnati does it. And that's my hope and that's my dream is we take the Shield and we're the first team, Jason, to finish at the top of the Shield race and MLS Cup. I think we've got the firepower to do it. To me, it's a matter of chemistry, and you talk about consistency. I think it's a matter of chemistry, and I think we know how Brenner plays. Noonan has seen Brenner play. Noonan has coached him a little bit. Evander and Brenner up top, or with Denke up top, I think is going to bring some firepower that we haven't seen in Cincinnati since Brenner and Vasquez and Lucho played together. And I think we will see that quicker than maybe we saw it develop in years past, because we know the style of play and because, let's be honest, nobody can keep up with Echenique, but Brenner may have the speed to do it. Brenner may be the guy that can run with him and be that threat up top as he makes those runs. So he doesn't get into the box and stop and look around and go, who do I pass to? Like in this last game, he did a couple of times, right? So I'm hopeful. I'm excited. I think Cincinnati brings home the Shield. I think they make a deep run into the MLS Cup. And if they make that deep run, man, I'd be disappointed if they didn't bring it home. So that said, we're going to wrap up this show, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed that Brenner signing gets done, that deal gets done here. What, by 1 a.m. Eastern time? Is that
loosely? Yeah, paperwork, things get squirrely. Do not be surprised to see deals announced and when you wake up in the morning, because of how time zones and paperwork and MLS going to let some things slide and whatever. It's a loosey goosey thing, but 1 a.m. question mark.
I usually read the business sections of various various magazines. I'm going to start reading tomorrow. Say, okay, what happened with Brenner? It's like, forget the business.
Open Tom Bogert first, then switch over to the NASDAQ, and then
Wall
do
Street Journal.
There you go.
This entire show, I've been just furiously like
refresh,
updating Tom Bogert's Twitter feed to see if he's got any new news.
Oh man, guys, thanks for joining me tonight. I know I'm glad that you guys didn't have anything better to do than sit here and talk to all our CST friends, our fans, our listeners. Thanks for joining us for this special episode, and unless something crazy happens, we'll talk to you again on Monday night. Have a great end of the week.
Have a good evening. Love you guys.